Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Think Future. My name's Calabucas, and once again, we're coming at you live from deep in the heart of Silicon Valley, California. We're talking innovation, startups, the future. Not necessarily those, and not necessarily in that order. If you're watching on YouTube, hit that subscribe button and the bell so that we can, you'll get a notification every time that show comes out. We're up 6 times a week. Again, I said we, but it's actually just me. And if you're listening on it, your favorite podcast service, just please subscribe and leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. We'd greatly appreciate it. I would greatly appreciate it. So one of the things about the future, one of the things about strategic planning, one of the things about trying to figure out where we're going or what we're doing is that uncertainty is huge, right? That's why a lot of people say it's very difficult to think about the future. How are you going to think about the future if you have no idea what's going to happen next? You have no idea if COVID's going to hit. You have no idea if we'll have another, we might invent the matter transmitter. We might invent the replicator tomorrow, or we might solve COVID, or we might cure cancer, or we might get rid of heart disease. We might do any of these things tomorrow. These breakthroughs may occur at any point in time, both positive breakthroughs and negative breakthroughs. We have no idea what's going to happen next. And that's why it's so difficult to plan. It's so difficult to build scenarios. It's so difficult to figure out where things are going. There's tons of uncertainty out there, and that's why it's so difficult. But even though it's really uncertain, I've talked previously about what you can do for your plans to mitigate that a bit. And before I talked about, like, don't forget to factor in human ingenuity, because humans are, we're very ingenious. We can do all sorts of cool things that, problems that we thought were solved. Like, didn't we think there was going to be a huge population growth problem that, half the world would starve? And every year we push it out and push it out and push it out further out because we've been able to figure out technologically how to produce more food, right? Every time a major problem like this comes up to us, we've been able to figure it out. All we have to do is factor in the ingenuity. But like I said, it's still uncertain. There's lots of uncertainty. So the other thing I said was prepare for surprises. Black swans could happen, things could just change completely in a second. And obviously the best way to deal with something like that is just to be really zen about it, because there's things you cannot change. These are things that are occurring, and you just need to change your plans. Another thing you can do is don't take big steps. Don't make huge moves, because you don't know if these huge moves may actually end up being bad moves or good moves based on the uncertainty that's coming in the future. So instead of making big changes, and a lot of people actually agree with this sort of thing, is that if you want to make changes to whether it's your business or your personality or your culture or whatever, instead of making big changes, although some people would argue that big changes are the only ones that can work, take small steps. And the reason you have to take small steps in the direction that you feel the world is going is that circumstances could change, and you may need to revert. You may need to take steps in a different direction. But if you take huge steps, if you make huge commitments in a particular direction, and something massively changes that you have no idea was going to occur, and suddenly occurs, then where will you be? So the solution there is to take small steps, incremental steps. Now, how does this work with disruptive innovation? You can still do disruptive things within incremental innovation. But the movement towards those things, because things are so fluid. I mean, things are fluid, right? Things are very, very fluid right now. In fact, people are saying, like, Calabucas, how can you be a futurist in this time? There's no possible way to figure out where things are going. But there are trends. There are ways of seeing where things are going. There are techniques. There are futurist techniques that you can use to sort of map out that future. But then when it comes to execution, when it comes to taking action, taking small steps, factoring in human ingenuity, preparing for surprises, these are things that you can do to mitigate if the plans that you've determined are where things are going to go change. And they will, because life is change. The world is change. Everything changes all the time. And you just need to make sure that you factor that in. And taking small steps towards your goal are a good way to do it. That's it for me for today. See you next time. And until then, don't forget to think future.